big alert from the ladder in Season 11. The number one is about to crack 2,400 elo. And look who's in his way on the journey. We have got sort of going up against Louis MT. Louis MT is 0-3 and 0-4. I respect the commitment to the memes of how he finished on line 2. This is exactly why so many people love Louis MT. Let's get into this one, because this one's going to be a banger. Japanese versus Byzantines always feels like fireworks. If you guys aren't familiar with Louis MT is the most accomplished player out of the Chinese region for Age of Empires 4. He is also probably the second biggest content creator in that country for Age of Empires 4. He just attended a LAN in Denmark where he went 0-3 and 0-4, hence the memeful name. He just dropped to the drop. He got slayed, right? Marine Lord took him out 0-4, and then I believe it was Beastie before that 0-3. So pretty rough time overall Louis MT had. He obviously was then able to recover in the lower bracket to make it to playoffs. But compared to the fact that this guy before that thrusted a trophy in an S-tier tournament, very big downgrade. And I just want to say, like, this is showmanship, right? Like, this is not even showmanship is necessarily the word. This is good sport nature, right? This is swallowing the defeat. I'm going to even turn the nameplate off so you guys can see it very clearly. This is swallowing the defeat and eating the humble pie, right? No, like, you know, big up and then excuses or anything like that. Louis MT, the funny part about it to me is he's not even a guy who necessarily smack talks, right? Like, not that we know, he doesn't speak elegant English, right? He knows a little bit of English. But I knew a player just like this type of name profile if they'd lose big. But that guy would, like, smack talk like crazy, right? So it's almost like he had to eat the humble pie. Like, if you want to talk big, if you want to be cocky, you've also got to, like, just accept the defeat with grace. The beautiful thing about Louis is he isn't, like, arrogant in victory or anything like that, but he still just chooses to lean into these meaningful moments. This is probably my favorite person in AoE 4 right now, right? And it's just because his whole persona exudes having fun. That's the best way to describe it. I think you'll see it in these games, because Louis MT, whether it goes early or late, he always finds a way of having fun. Sort of a bit more of a sweaty gamer, but also a lovely fella. He's, of course, Swede living in Korea, so actually, ping-wise, shouldn't be a problem at all here. This is really like the true testament to sort of how deep he's coming, how fast he's developing, right? If he's able to start getting, like, wins semi-frequently from players like Louis MT, Wham, Vortex, etc. on the ladder, that's when I think we're likely to see sort of start to make these deeper runs into tournament play. It's not quite there yet, and I think he doesn't mind me admitting that. We've got KPMM returning soon, and I imagine he'll join in on those too, because it's a great way to actually kind of sharpen your teeth and get used to the tournament format again. Specifically in this game, though, we are going to be getting a Rax opening. This is wholly to be expected. Japan is always looking for an opportunity with those Dark Age Rax rushes being cheaper. And what better civ to do it against than the Byzantines? Byzantines that got a pretty rough spawn here. Yeah, this is brutal. Stone and berries on one spot. Like, you wish the gold was there or something. At least then you'd have stone or berries to lean into. Instead, we're going to have Louis MT going towards the Imperial Hippodrome. Imperial Hippodrome, which, by the way, has been growing in popularity. That's right. Everyone's attending the horse races these days. Yeah, you go back not too long ago, people widely consider this to still be a memeful landmark. Or, shall we... Sorry, let's be the more diplomatic approach to memeful. Very situational is the simple way to put it. It was very, very situational to use this, but now it's becoming a bit more fluid, a bit more frequent. And honestly, I'm all for it. I love the way the players have developed strategies over how they want to use this now. It isn't just I pressed the button didn't work, and now my game is over. Right? Because remember, with Imperial Hippodrome, you get access to an ability that buffs your cavalry damage and also heals them, gives them more movement speed. Like, it's a powerful ability. But in the early game, it's heavily rationed, right? Very rarely we get more than one shot at it. And what have I missed in chat while we've been hyping this up? All the talk. Did I check out the latest Beastie M-Lord drama? I mean, it was all discombobulated within the video, like, within the VOD, right? So, like, I glanced parts of it via Reddit. I glanced part of Dimu's breakdown and part of Vortex's breakdown. And kind of sounds like what we said a few days ago when we cast over the game and we checked the remake condition holds true, right? Like, the wider drama is like the idea of just like, okay, let's compare to the Wham. Why are we even comparing to the Wham one? Completely different situation. Completely different set of variables. You don't make a parallel there at all. It makes no sense. Even if you did want to make the parallel, the WAM game is more over than like the Beastie Marine Lord one. But yeah. I think overall, our goal is to try and be happy campers today, guys. Like, the drama to me is, from what I've seen anyway, and maybe it's just through the mediums that I've consumed it, childish. And as a scene where the average age of our esports competitors is, what, 30? We shouldn't, like, it shouldn't be that childish. So, sort of, he's gone in for the spears pretty heavy-handedly at home as well, right? I think he had 3 on the forward and he added in more when he saw the horseman play, but Archer's already coming from Louis MT, and it means he's going to be able to break out of the base. Does have to switch, though. Outpost is up. You can't really contest that too early. He could blob up to, like, 7 or 8 horsemen with several archers and go in, but it'd be very expensive. The only reason he'd do that is if he desperately wants to get the olive oil, which is understandable because right now, he's mercenaryless. Yeah, like, Hippodrome Horsey's Lombo's OP? Yeah, but you can't get it. That's the point with this stratagem, sort of. That's what makes it so good. His opening has completely invalidated the best strategy for the Byzantines. So instead, you're getting poor man's Lombos. They're not even long. Like, look, the bow is, like, not even the length for the guy. So this makes him substantially weaker, although sort of's approach here, heavy on the gold at the start, is intriguing. Is he looking for the Yumi Bannerman early? I think he's just trying to lock in all technologies. So, like, Steeled Arrow is already coming. He'll want enough gold for Undermesh, which he's not likely to get here. Which means he has to kind of eat rocks a bit. I mean, he could literally eat rocks, right? Like, you can actually eat stone to get gold. But no, I meant that more figuratively. He's just going to have to suck it up and accept he's going to have to scale quite a few Yumi to break out of this. Yumi feel pretty good against Byzantines. Especially when they play this type of strategy. Like, if it's Longbos... Longbos can contest early, but obviously they can get overwhelmed by Yumi mass. But we don't even have that longbow threat. We still don't have any berry gathering whatsoever. Louis does have an option at the front of his base. Hasn't chosen to commit to it, though. Horsemen are circling. Remember, this Triumph Charge is not going to be used early on. At least it shouldn't be. Typically, you're looking to save it for that big moment, that decisive moment, which will get you a big enough lead to then go castle, or a big enough advantage in a fight to win the game. Yeah, it's kind of like when someone says, would you sell your car? You're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to sell my car. You're like, well, how important is your car to you right now? Like, what would it take for you to sell your car, i.e. press the Triumph button? Would it take 15 Yumi out of position? I mean, that kind of sounds a little bit... What about 20 Yumi out of position? Okay, I don't know, man. I still need it to, like, get around. I gotta go and, like, you know... Gotta go and harass villages, and I gotta keep you out of my base. What about 25 Yumi? Okay, mate... I'm tempted. 30 Yumi, final offer, deal, right? Like it's almost like that type of feeling when you're playing around this Triumph build. Because if you do sell yourself short on the deal, and you're like, oh, damn, I haven't got the car anymore. I'm now going to have to get a taxi everywhere. Wasn't worth the deal. So both players going to be scaling up here. Sordov's going to be pretty content with the idea of adding in Spearmen because the longbow threat would have been a big problem, but it's just not there. It's interesting because he could technically go Ona Bugeisha, but I don't know about Ona Bugeisha against Horseman Triumph, actually. I haven't seen that particular matchup, I think, ever. Maybe once or twice a long, long time ago, but like not in recent memory. The problem with that matchup is like, actually, Ona Bugeisha are great value exchange into Horseman. The problem is when you add in the Triumph, which is +4 damage, by the way, on a unit that can max out at 10 damage normally, you can see why it gets pretty rough. I am a little bit surprised that sort of maybe didn't entertain the idea of Horsemen. We saw that from Marine Lord. If you guys remember, Marine Lord Beastie, it was the final game of the Denmark LAN where he played Mass Horseman, ego-chowed the Byzantines, and because he had the melee tech plus the Uma Bannerman, with good positioning, he was able to just beat Hippodrome's battle. Yeah, that would have been interesting, actually. Yumi plus Horseman. It's also a lot faster of a composition. Spearman slows you down, but going Horseman means that you're moving at the Yumi speed, which is higher than standard infantry. Louis being a little bit frustrating. Sort of has snuck out into the deer, and I don't think that Louis knows at all. He is, however, about to get access to Mercs. We've got the Kira Siphon coming out. Yeah, and he's already up to level 5 system. Despite that delay, that frustration, he's locked it in. And info on KPMM will be dropped later today. So you'll want to hang around. It might be even sooner than you think. Samurai from sort of. What? Okay. We're definitely swinging in a different arc now. I wouldn't have really expected Samurai at this stage. Wonder what the thought process is, because this is the thing, guys. Hippodrome Triumph can actually like beat Samurai. I think for sort of, it's probably because the archers are going to kill the spearmen too fast. So by littering in a few Samurai, it means that sometimes the arrow fire is just going to go after a target that is worthless against, right? So this is kind of a classic strat. I'm hoping it's just a few Samurai instead of him massing Samurai. Because I don't really know if you have the long-term food to like sustain that. I guess Kura Storehouse does give you some leeway. Good interception of the horseman, though, and like this is another problem, right? When they cut to reinforcements like this, it should be a lot harder to kill those horsemen, to stop them killing the Yumi, if you choose to go this way. What's going up from Louis, though? Well, thank you. Appreciate everyone who's been messaging me about how much they love KPMM, wondering when it's going to come back. For those who don't know what KPMM is the most successful weekly format in Age of Empires that will be returning for 40 more weeks. Yeah, kind of crazy stats. What was that? Over 17 million minutes watched in the first edition as well. You guys are wild. Game's slowed down a lot now, right? I think sort of realizes there's no attack point right now. It's just too risky stepping up against these horsemen. Like you saw what started to happen when he brought the first force forward. The horsemen went looking for the reinforcements. Triumph has still not been triggered, by the way. And in fairness, I don't think Louis is looking to trigger it at all now because he just doesn't have that many horsemen yet. At this point, like with how deep the game is getting, you want to be up to maybe like 15 horsemen for that Triumph pull because then it's substantial, right? With 15 horsemen, 30-second window, you can run down everything. Sort of, I think he knows about that growing risk. He hasn't really been able to force the commitment of the ability, which is another reason as to why he doesn't want to commit into the enemy base. I wonder. Nah, I'm not going to say it. No sippy cup. I think, honestly, I think the memes with Sistan is kind of over. Sistan in the first hill is probably never going to come back in until it gets some sort of buff, such as a level 6 Sistan unlock would make a lot of sense. It's just too rough to justify currently. Goldenhorn Tower, especially like with this build, Goldenhorn Tower is way too good to give up. Remember, with the level 5 Sistan being there by the time you go age 3, it means that this Conscriptio buff, the increased production rate, applies to the Mercenary landmark. It doubles the production rate. That's why you're not going to see anyone do sippy cups anymore. Right? The gulp is nice, but double production rate on mercs? Too good to pass up. The fact alone that Biz players learn how to use Hippodrome makes tower rushes less effective. I mean, they had to learn it. You have to remember, we came off the back of a meta where Dark Age rushes was at an all-time high. So, you know, I think, like at Olympia, Byzantine players should be grateful that the Deer Shove meta was a thing, because what it done is it allowed them to take the time to figure out a new way. If you remember in the Deer Shove meta, a lot more civs were doing Dark Age openings. In fact, Japan was every single game, because it just organically followed up into this outpost rush on the enemy berries really nicely. Backup coming in. By the way, Goldenhorn Tower with Keshik contracts, so he's going for the heavy calf. This is actually an interesting direction to go in. I don't mind it. The thought process here is that you can actually mirror the amount of samurai of enough Keshiks. This is reminiscent of like Mongol Japanese games where we've actually seen Mongols able to win off of raw numbers in a heavy cav clash against Japan. It's actually quite surprising how effective it can be, because like the thing is, Keshiks hit lower damage than standard knights, which is bad normally, but when you're up against deflective armor, it means you're like losing out on less initial burst DPS. Trade-off being is like the Keshiks are a little bit cheaper. Now, whether you can actually get the scale that a Mongol player would be able to is the big question mark, because he is very, very limited when it comes to Oliver. Unless he can now rush relics. And he doesn't even have an organic timing. Like, this is the trade-off of going Hippodrome. You're not going to be quick into your monks. Because when you go Grand Winery, remember, it's not just a mill, it's also later on a monastery. It's also a way that you can generate olive oil via relics. And now, Louis just doesn't have that at all. So yeah, unless he wants to try and, you know, come back into Keshik's hyper late, I think this is very much kind of a timing comp. And then after the timing passes, just use it to raid. First Mount Samurai arriving in the base, sort of just trying to be annoying. Did manage to extract a worker kill. Won't be able to hang around to hunt for more, though. Northside, great fight there, though. Sort of. Catches the 4 Keshiks. Louis, now looking for some blood. We'll start to march in. But Veterancy is already there for Spears, so he needs to be fast about this. Triumph is going to get activated, so here we go. He needs some kills out of this. Expilatores was not taken, by the way, so he's not getting paid gold for this. It's just a trade of Horseman lost for worker kills gained. And it is going to last for a long time. 30 seconds remaining on that Triumph pull. The villager count looking really good here. That's 6 kills so far. This is about, what, 3 Horsemen? Idle time as well. Definitely a worth it exchange for Louis. Sort of. Kind of just standing here. Didn't find an entry point. So busy reacting to that. The best he could hope for was idling out his opponent. Still, he does have map control, and with that, he can think about relics. But now he may need to think about Euroshira dropping. Okay, he did already. Yeah, the TC Euroshira drop means he'll be able to catch up. He desperately needs to. Because remember, it's not just you up against 54 villagers. It's the buffed system effect here on practically the entire economy. Actually, I say that. A lot of his economy isn't buffed, weirdly enough. Yeah, he never set it up around the deer or anything. Two TC. Whoa. Sort of definitely feeling the damage of that strike. And we have Varangian switch. So if the goal now for Louis MT is to go crossbows, Varangian, maybe cataphracts, this is where I definitely want to see him get into like the Expilatores. It would have been nice to have gotten that extra gold gen from worker kills. Because remember, with the Expilatores tech, you do 2 more damage, which isn't too important when you've got Triumph activated anyway. But the more important part is that you'll get 30 gold per worker kill. Yeah, you know what we need? We need the ultimate Civ to use that against. We need a Civ where the villagers produce quicker, but they have less health. God, can you imagine? You know, they have like 25 health, half the gathering rate, half the cost, and occupy half the space, i.e. 0.5 population. Ah, that reminds me of that game mode. You guys remember when we used to play Puny Peasants? Puny Peasants was incredible. It was a game mode where the villagers were reduced down to 5 HP. They were the size of a little smurf. And they basically gathered 1 resource and would drop off. Puny Peasants was goated. Sadly, the modder never updated it. So it didn't work with the new civs. Yes, it was quite comical because their population space take was 0.1. Sort of still circling looking for targets here. But Louis been doing a good job of dodging the death so far. Does it again, sort of. Only just got a minor glimpse at what is happening. What? Louis! The mining camp! He forgot it! Oh my god. Talk about a Congo line there. And sort of Mountain Samurai count doesn't really feel that great right now, though. It's kind of a shame because his opponent is playing quite wide with his locations, right? Like, he's been gathering berries on the front side, which is going to become brutal. He's already fortifying, so I imagine Mangonel Tower coming in after that. I mean, it's a good position for a Mango Tower in front of the base like this. 2TC is now putting sort of in the lead on Raw Village account, though. Daimyo is not level 2 yet, which is unfortunate considering he's been forced to add in additional farms. So, not benefiting from that bigger gathering rate buff. And crossbows are revealed. Okay, so sort of getting this crossbow info. This is going to feel pretty rough that he's switched into Samurai. I wonder if he'll just pivot differently and maybe go like Onibugeisha. It's tricky, though, because, yeah, he's doing it, but, like, the tricky part of it is your opponent still has 29 archers you haven't addressed. Right? Like, because this has been focused on raiding and not direct fighting, neither player has actually lost their archer mass yet. Which is where the Onibugeisha switch becomes a little bit risky for sort of. Still, he kind of needs something to deal with that crossbow mass that he's assuming is going to build. Louis just getting ready for the full farm transition. Like, food is going to drain pretty fast. There's not much to remain here. He already has eaten up most of one of the deer stacks. The second one is not of interest to him. He just wants olive oil because he needs that extra unit diversity. Ghoulims are going to be sick if your opponent does go Bugeisha, by the way. Ghoulims with double strike against Bugeisha, it's like, why do you even sign up for that fight? This fight right now, though, sort of. Has got numbers. The Yuumi do deceive, though. Ghoulam, Ranji moving in, and sort of, what was the control group there? Had them switch, didn't notice that. The Yuumi standing their ground for a little bit too long. We have got the Triumph activated, but it's on Cataphracts. This is less impactful. Nice dive. I love this. He sticks him in the back, and now look at the Yuumi. They're no longer going for targets they might be more optimal at killing. They waste a lot of time on the cavalry unit. Louis MT now with the military lead. And his archers are better here, folks. This is going to end up range versus range. And Louis has got the numbers. Sort of is just basically blobbing out a few samurai here or there. But they are quickly dispatched by the few crossbowmen in this formation. Sort of has to run back home, tail between legs, but back end, no, not worth it. I was about to say, did he actually get much out of this? He only got 2 worker kills while all that was going on. However, to his credit, we are still talking about 2 TC, actually 2.25 TC for Japanese. So he's inflating. And also the farm count. I think that's the biggest thing I always struggle with these Byzantine builds. Hippodrome players usually look to end the game by now. If they don't end the game, things get weird. And you can kind of see it with these olive groves coming in. Louis is struggling on food and playing catch-up quite a bit. It's also a case of when you go for the Eastern contract, I think it's a quantity of a quality type format. Because 2 or 3 Keshiks at this stage aren't going to turn a battle unless you sneak them in the base. 3 or 4 Ghoulims isn't really going to change much compared to just building Frangium, right? You need quite a few Ghoulims, especially if your opponent's going to start moving into anti-armor solutions. I guess the good news is, at least in this matchup, that compared to, say, if you're against French or against any city that has standard crossbows, you'd hate life. But against Japan, because the Onimusha are more expensive, it can often be a little bit more difficult to get into them. At least for a main fight. Like, if you want to go Onimusha because you're raiding, it's great as an opener. But I have noticed a lot of Japanese players hate going Onimusha around mid-castle. Because around mid-castle, like, you're either thinking about the next stage or you're thinking about the all-in fight. Right? And either way, like, Imperial Onimusha is kind of eh. And Onimusha playing into a direct fight also feels a bit weird. Because you're paying more than standard crossbows. So, like, the logic is, why do I pay more? I pay more because I can move more. You don't really move in a direct fight. But triple rating sort of does get another kill. I'm starting to think with the way that Louis is playing this, he may not even know it's 2 TC. He has been a bit complacent, a bit too complacent for someone that's against 2 TC. Right, like he's got a few Keshiks, a few Cataphracts. Why haven't they been raiding? It kind of seems like he thinks he's got time to set up olive groves because he doesn't realize his opponent is inflating the worker lead like this. It's getting big fast. He really is getting big fast. How many farms is that now? 32. With Daimyo level 2, he's almost got the Shogunate. This is where the food income just gets out of control. I mean, it's already rocketed. Look at this. 2.5k food income. Part of that is inflated by the berries with the 20 workers, of course. But if he just rushes on the stone now, which is totally understandable, and he's doing, he'll be able to inflate the farms to basically take over on that number. Louis, what is he looking for as his win con? Is he trying to get lean Imperial? I don't know. Imperial is obviously inevitable, right? But like trying to rush into it off of Hippodrome doesn't feel great usually, because you're often not going to have the olive oil inflation you would with Grand Winery, which is a big problem because it means you can't get the siege weapons. What is this? Agent Ram here. I have nothing to report. Oh, potion as well. Louis, does he suspect a tech up? I mean, he's suspicious why it's been so idle for so long. Backstab attempt coming in from a small group of Mount Samurai. That should allow the rest of the army time to catch up if Louis engages with it. But nicely done. He pulls the melee away and then naturally just counters with the crossbows. However, multifaceted flank coming in here, sort of. It's more Mount Samurai than before. Triumph has to be activated. He springs into action, spreads his melee line thin, but he's heavily outnumbered here. Louis MT with a dive pass, the Onification move in as well. And the crossbows get baited away. Sort of great positioning in this fight. With a Yumi, he just needs to mop up these archers so he can counterattack into the crossbows. Bugeisha should then be able to carry into that crossbow line. What a sick engagement. Sort of. He didn't really even lose the Mount Samurai for that. He still has 20 in total. After all that bait and switch, right? You'd think he'd have to throw away more for that, but no. Louis MT's army, now in shambles, sort of, has command of the ship. He has the helm. Now it's a case on whether he can go deep. 20 Mount Samurai should be capable of great amounts of damage here. The question is if he's going to find the workers quick enough. And please, please don't throw away this lead on a Mango Tower. Because this would be a depressing way to completely flip a game. Louis realizes he's taken the bait. He pulls him under. Guys, that's double Mango Tower. Sort of. Come on, man. The lessons. The grind to get back on form has taken him far, but apparently the age-old lesson of don't dive a Mango Tower is still one that needs to be learned. This fight, this should have been easy peasy for sort of. Louis MT is going to defend. I mean, you have to run away now. It's mass cataphracts underneath double Mango Tower. You're not going to send Onimusha there. A devastating hit to sort of's position. He still does have the eco lead, yes, but it's not as big as you think. Not when you equate the distance. This is rough, man. I think Louis MT, if that had been just a strike round the sides, especially these freshly positioned groves, his food income goes to 0, dead. Game over. 20 Mount Samurai is capable of that, by the way. It's sort of, I don't know if it's because he just felt like he could win directly. I don't know if it's just because he didn't really remember that the Mango Towers are that big of a deal, but whatever it was, I saw red on the front side of that base. That puts him in a pretty shaky position. He's still at least remassed nicely, but the overwhelming lead he once had, not quite there. And yeah, just to re-emphasize for people, if you think about it this way, like the 26% increased buff rate, if it's impacting everything in Louis' economy, that is equivocal to having about an extra, what, 22 villages or something like that? So they're actually very, very close from raw economy. Sort of does have the buff of the Shogunate, granted, where these farms are a lot more impactful, 60% more. But remember, it's not 60% difference, it's actually 40% difference. And it's only going to be impacting probably about 35 workers. Workers that might be in trouble now because the cataphracts have moved in. He needs to respect the Shogunate Castle. Shogunate Castle is very dangerous here. Remember, it's going to do almost 200 damage per strike against cav units, meaning it 2 hits Kadas. Steady actually just stands his ground here. Was a flank raid attempt, sort of, did get mirrored out, but he's got a second raid group coming in on the west side. Mango Tower emplacements are on the way, though, to grief him, and on top of that, this worker is making his life hard to break through. Yeah, we'll bail now just to get in the garrison, but that bought the time. So Mango emplacement comes in just as the breakthrough occurs. With the one cataphract, with the Triumph running also, I think sort of might need to run away again. Yeah, more catas are coming. The dive underneath sort of base did not work in the end. But what's kind of crazy is look at the economy. Is Louis really doing this? Guy looks like he's trying to go Imperial Age when he's only 150 pop. That's a bit nuts. What makes him think he can get away with this? Maybe just the Mango Towers who think they'll be good enough to hold his opponent back? I mean, in fairness, he has the military lead is the crazy part. A little bit of reinvestment coming through. And he has got a Horseman coming. So I wonder, is this now Exploratorus? It is. So the reason why he's gone the Horseman is this is a great way of farming up additional gold while killing enemy workers faster. Workers that do now have textiles. But if you think about it this way, with the Horseman, if you have Triumph, that's +4, which means you go up to 17 damage. Then with the Worker, bonus damage is 19. So you do 19 damage per strike against 75 HP. That's a pretty good deal. That means you 4-hit kill textiled villagers. Presuming they don't have melee armor, which in this case they do. So I think it ends up being, yeah, 5 because he's got the 2 melee armor. Yeah, Louis legit doing this. Foreign Engineering Company is on the way. Sort of is target firing on the front side of the base. We have got pressure again to the north side. He's going to go wider, but love that reaction out of Louis. A man who loves his walls is just going to make more and more behind this to try and force him back towards the Mango Towers. Layer upon layer to the cake, my friends. Yeah, if I covered the names, everything else, and I told you to tell me which one's Louis, it would be pretty obvious, wouldn't it? Because sort of has actually built 0 walls in this game. Not a single one. Tanagashima Gunsmith now coming through. The breakthrough coming in. Not going to be able to sustain that, though. And this is where this eco lead starts to kind of become a shrug. Like, if you're 100 eco, you know, I think you're okay. As long as you don't start losing workers to raids, you're fine. Sometimes having the bigger army is a much better value proposition. Gives you more deflect, right? That's been a big change in Age of Empires 4 in general. Like, gone are the days of 140, 150 pop. It's not to say some players don't still do it, but it's become more of a rarity. Quite often, we're seeing people cap out more around 110, 120 in a lot of cases. Respecting the value of having a bigger army. Because, you know, a bigger army means a bigger axe to swing. Would it make more sense to go Palatine School without Winery? It depends what he wants from it. So if you want to spam Keshiks do get things like the step tech, so they get the extra attack speed. But the other important thing here, like, and I think this is why you'll probably see people rarely ever choose Palatine School. Even though it's building cataphracts, and you could save a lot of money there, you can't get this. Royal Cannons are the kings of Siege. I rate them as like the best cannon you can get outside of like a Great Bombard. Even then, like, Royal Cannons against Great Bombards, not bad actually sniping them out. So that's the thing he doesn't want to give up, understandably. So Mirror Techs, what's the late game comp? It looks like sort of wants to go for Mad Samurai. Intriguing choice here. Because I think your opponent could actually mirror Cataphracts and be favored there. I feel like instead, I'd love to see him just kind of lean into Spears, Yumi, go for Samurai when necessary, and then look to pivot into mass hand cannoneers off of the Tanagashima Gunsmith. Remember, this Gunsmith, it builds up tickets, supply points that allow you to just release a horde of hand cannon Ashigarus. You get one every 30 seconds. So if you wait 10 minutes, that's going to be 20 tickets to work with. And reminder, they come out straight away. As soon as you press the button, they spawn. That's the power of the Tanagashima Gunsmith. Not just the ability to give you units for free, to give them to you straight away. Which means you can go into a fight, lose an entire army, and have an entire army once again. Rocket launch castle already in place. I like that Louis just trying to take advantage of the fact that Sort of is allergic to walls. Why hasn't Sort of actually walled? I think it's a little bit surprising at this stage, considering you've been up against Hippodrome play. You know, early on, you don't want to rush walls. It's not a good idea. But, you know, at this stage, it is very odd that we haven't seen a change. Sort of. I'm not even getting in for free anymore. The only one who's actually raiding is Louis. I would be getting so tilted if I went down the flanks like this and just kept finding walls. Like, I've burned this piece of wall 3 times already. Cataphracts at least get denied. The horseman did go in for a few kills. We've got so many pings on the map, man. And sort of... He's got the castle up. And in good time, the Limitane arriving. That's not going to stop the commitment. Louis MT brings in the reinforcements. He wants this castle dropped. And will get his wish here. This many Limitane, no doubt about it. The burn power will be good enough. As the torches come out. No Trapezites, mind you. He could have had a scout here to buff all their torch damage by 25%. Would definitely be worth it. But he didn't walk out here expecting to find this. On the other side of the map, though, the dive's coming in. There is a mango tower that you would preferably avoid. There are a group of troops coming to defend that. Yeah, so I like this from Sword. He realizes, okay, I can't fight that. I've split my army. Might as well commit into the base. But between that, Mangonel eliminating some options, and now the horsemen starting to arrive. This raid should be limited in its impact. Meanwhile, Louis MT continues on. He's going to be going deeper. We do not have the hand cannons yet. No, he stopped piling tickets. We're up to 10. This is good, though. Remember, you don't want to use those tickets early. 5 tickets is pretty underwhelming. 40 tickets is game-changing. Good questions coming in. Did, like, sort of lose his advantage? This is what we're talking about, right? It's like, you actually need more workers as well than Byzantine. This is another thing that makes them really impressive in the late game. With the system buffs, they don't need as many workers to compete with your economy. Now, we can see, like, there's one area in which sort of just wins by how many extra workers it's food. But we're not really seeing them able to leverage that. And the other concerning factor is, as time goes on, actually, food isn't, like, your biggest concern. It's gold. Can you point to me where sort of's 8k gold is? I don't want to fat shame him, but he already ate it. It's gone. You heard that correctly. He's already gone through that much gold. In fairness, both of them have, right? But, I don't know, man. It feels like there was a lot more Cataphract spam than Mount Samurai spam. Maybe it's just deceptive the way it's played out. But the other thing is also, how do you get gold now? Because there's a very easy and obvious way that Louis gets gold. Your workers, right? So the extra workers you're keeping to compete with the economy are now a liability. Because they give Louis economy. Don't need much gold, but beers just oil up. Well, the challenge without Grand Winery is oiling up, though. Like, it's not as quick. So it's kind of a trade-off. That's why you normally see people kind of still lean into, like, standard unit usage rather than mercenaries when they play Hippodrome. Stone walls are going to fail here. Louis and these goddamn walls. I feel like he's drawing shapes to communicate with us. What do they say? They spell wall. Is Louis getting a bit too raidy? Not really. I think he's keeping the army where it needs to be. It's just the problem is this north side is becoming a liability. The good news is the gold's almost gone, though. He just tapped the last of it, so he doesn't necessarily need to be here anymore. I do wonder if Louis is going to consider trade, though. For now, his gold is fine, but trade would also give you the olive oil. I actually think when you play Hippodrome, trade makes a lot more sense than Grand Winery. Because those traders will give you olive oil, right? Whereas, you know, if you're building traders and you have Grand Winery, the buff rate that you get from the olive groves on wineries is kind of better. Sort of. We'll be shut out of this raid, and honestly, didn't do enough. He's lost just as much, guys. Yeah, there's only a 20 villager difference at this stage. Then again, I mean, if these guys go unnoticed, Which they might, because there's a fight currently going on. Sort of. He's still not been seen. This is happening. This is actually happening right now. These two cav units could clutch up. Because this fight is not going to be quick. No, as quick as the ladies may swing with those glaives, the Unabageisha. Don't necessarily die quick. Don't necessarily get the kills quickly, especially against the Elite Kulam. This is a mosh pit and a half. Meanwhile, look at what's happened on the farms. Finally, Louis realizes after losing an additional 18 villages, I believe that was. Unbelievable out of those two cav units. Louis, however, has won the main engagement. Sort of. Doesn't really have huge reserves to show to thrust him as victor from that exchange. And the gunsmith, he started producing... Yeah, he has been using tickets. He's only at 10 still. And we checked this a while ago, so... What did he buy? Was it the Robotiquin? I don't know why you wouldn't just... Oh, I guess like with that type... Yeah, with that type of gold, you have to use the tickets. Robotiquin is pretty smart, though. This is another big negative of playing Eastern Contract. You know, if you play Western, you're going to play someone like Limitana anyway. You can have Lombos to assist. If you play if you play Silk Road, rather, you can have the Javelins. But with Eastern, you just have melee units. So Robotiquin is like the ultimate answer to that. He's going to find out the hard way. Riboldi able to scare him away. Nicely played there by Swordov. Looks like Louis is going to have to get creative here. A direct fight doesn't seem desirable once you see those gunpowders come out. And with Cataphracts, Horseman, he should be good for raiding Keshiks as well. Louis still just raiding this leftover gold. Sort of just can't get a moment of peace. A miracle that he actually found the gold necessary to get incendiary arrows. Has he actually... Yeah, he's got Elite Army Tactics. What's interesting is actually that we don't have Incendiary at all coming out from Louis. I kind of feel like he needs some efficiency around his range units. Oh, wait. No, guys, I forgot. He does have... How could I? See, this is why. This is exactly why you do Foreign Engineering Company. He does have the answer to the Robotiquins. That's a real cannon. I'd forgotten it existed, to be honest with you, and I think maybe sort of did too. Still, he's got 3 bombards, which means he should be able to defend it now. But that was a little bit of a depressing existence. The Robotic was like, yes, this is golden strat, and then just get shot. So I guess like you can actually ignore upgrading the archers in Incendiary. What else does he need? He's already got Elite Army Tactics. I believe we did see Bio, right? Yeah, Biology is in. So he has the primary concerns covered. Which means there's not really much need for gold unless he wants to switch into Cataphracts. Keshik's a great intercept, by the way. They find the Yumi. Wait, is Sword Off got separate rally points for his different unit types? Because there's only things here that would get counted by cavalry. His spearmen are completely missing. Painful one there. Now a potential sandwich moment. Louis is posturing. Almost inviting, encouraging Sword Off to walk up. Villagers will get sacrificed on this stone just to gather it. Like, this is so toxic. Guys, why do you think you need stone at this stage? Is it to drop a castle? No. Is it to build more walls? Yeah, a few. Is it to build more mango emplacements? Yes. It's always more mango emplacements. It's the best thing you can do. Castles are overrated. Like, it's such a comical matchup for castles if you think about it. On one side, you have to wait until Imperial to build them. On the other side, why would I build a castle when I can just build an outpost that could do as much damage as a castle? And actually, like, to be honest with you, not be that much less tanky. Also be more sustainable, because remember, a castle requires stone to repair. Outpost just requires wood. Now this castle, mini castle rather, is going to go down. As instead, it looks like Louis MT decided to go in deeper. Yeah, taking the Varangian over towards where that castle is located. Got another mango emplacement coming in over here. The Begeisha, they should do well against the Limitane, but it just doesn't really feel like they're killing quick enough here. No, not with mango emplacements now in effect. I swear, I'm saying mango emplacements way too often, but welcome to Byzantine games, you have to. How many towers has he got? 7 towers. I reckon 6 of those have mangoes in them. Damn, what has happened to Sodov's composition? It's like a sprinkling of everything, but Louis keeping it simple, right? Just keep it simple, stupid. Just horseman, Rangian. So realistically, what Sordov needs is a mixture of spearman, samurai. That would count quite nicely. You could also think about like hand cannoneer spearman, but I don't think he has the tickets for that. No, he's down to 7, and he's actually building into revolvements in Izutsu. I guess he wants these Izutsu maybe as an answer to the mango towers, but that does put you in the range of them. So definitely a curious choice. I don't know. I haven't been keeping full track constantly of what he's doing. Yeah, it's just bombards, right? He's just using it to spawn bombards. The problem with this strategy, folks, is I don't think Sordov is there yet in terms of holding a position. So the bombard idea is kind of flawed because your opponent has horsemen constantly. Not just any horseman, the fastest horseman in the game, remember. When you activate that triumph ability, they get 10% more movement speed. They go over 2 per second when the tile's covered. Yeah, just very hard to react to that, even with Nagayari spears, which I believe we do indeed have. That is a beauty to see. Kind of a rarity, but Numeri is on the way, guys. Remember, this is what makes Cataphracts a more robust support unit. You trample over the enemy, and they all get a vulnerable tag that makes them take more damage. 15% for 12 seconds may not sound like a lot to some people, but at fights at this stage in the game, that is a lot. 12 seconds is more than enough to get maximum value because most units will be dead in less than 10 with how big these fights are. Nice to know. Louis knows that his opponent's gold-starved. In fact, Sordov has given it a thought. Maybe it's trade time. Difficult to do, though. It's just another thing that would be feeding your opponent. You'd be spending gold and wood, and then your opponent could kill them with horsemen and get paid gold. He's going back for this outpost again. Alright, guys. 1s if you think Sordov's going to win this. 2s if you think Louis is. To be fair, Louis is being very reserved and respectful of like Sordov's main army. He understands the issue of taking it head on. I say, is he's gonna try and take it head on? No, yeah, he's like, wait a second. Wait a second. Royal Cannon's gonna peek around. Revolta is gonna stand its ground. Target fires down the bombards instead. Nicely micro there. Louis MT chasing even deeper now than STBs. Still has not fired a single shot for reasons I cannot discern. Apparently, it is morally objecting to the war. This nest of bees that could have actually wiped the Yumi by now hasn't done anything the entire fight. Yeah, and that does mean that Sordov's going to be favored. Look at the numbers now. Able to contain the beast from the east. He's got more troops coming in. Gold reserves have been completely depleted as expected constantly, but he's holding food reserves, which is something that Louis MT is struggling with. Sordov has the helm again. He just needs to push. We've been here before, and we've seen it slow down due to mango emplacements. Could we see that again? Hope not. It'd be a gruesome way to lose. Twice over. He's starting to break in now. Royal cannons are looking to be sniped here. Repair crew, non-existent. So both cannons go down. The siege has now been removed. Mango emplacement is on the way. But he should have the burn through to get rid of this before it does any real damage. Yeah, he's even got the incendiary shots coming in. Yeah, that is just the range fire of archers, guys. So no mango emplacement to threaten you. Berserk's going to be activated here. Sort of standing his ground, which is a little bit surprising. Maybe not. I don't know. Like, if you have Ona Bagatia, maybe. But most of this is not Ona Bagatia. Still, Louis realized the mistake. The error of his ways. He will hide behind the walls. And trade? He actually did go for it. So trade count is at 25. He was looking for the Varangian Cataphract Flood. Which is kind of sick, actually. You're against the Civ that usually wants to be in a melee mosh pit, like, you know, Samurai, etc. it's fair to say that Byzantine's Japanese rival looks best when they're able to just be melee mosh pit. And you're kind of giving them that opportunity. But the realization, I think, here from Louis is that sort of just doesn't have the cash flow to really, truly commit to that driver. Wait, did he optimize it? He did. Oh, that's sick. Guys, look what Louis done. That's really smart. So he's basically walled in such a way that they walk all the way up behind the walls and then come out. It's a little bit flawed on the return. But I think that's because he hasn't got this wall up. Once this wall is up, the traders will stay out of this forward side of the base. Does need to deal with the Yumi over here. It's costing him dearly. But look at what's happened in the center. The heavily armored battalion rolls over, sort of. I mean, still, the Yumi are doing work on the flanks here. Trade count has been reduced by about 7 or 8 so far. But that should be cleaned up. And then my concern steers towards this. What is the answer to this Varangian count? It's meant to be the Robotiquins. But the cannons will make that feel impossible. Yeah, the Royal Cannons that I think are being held in reserve currently. They're on the way. First wave of Cataphract is going to get bailed on by their own worker repairing the walls. And the Horsemen, well, they are going to move to the north side, but there's Spearman spam now coming there from sort of. Varangian are also convening in the area. Looks like he spotted the proxy base. Damn, cool idea by sort of. He was using this to just try and raid in and stop the trade. But Torchburn is going to be good enough to take this all down. The pop block means that Sorov can't even bring out defenders here to try and slow us down to buy time to react. And he's in panic mode. Now rushing up the walls to try and stop this threat from getting deeper. Yeah, if he can get the walls up in time, then his opponent has to wrap back around on the long path to get to the main fight in the center. The problem is these walls should never really be going up in time. Bar a miracle. And I'm fresh out of miracles. That last guy took them all from me. He somehow walked on water. He somehow got my water turned to wine. And he even somehow went into a grave and came out alive. I don't get it. None left for sort of. So the wall will be stopped. Workers to be killed. Triumph is also being activated quite regularly if you want to at this stage. Like, you're killing so many units, guys. This is where Triumph looks goated. If you play around Horseman Kata, Triumph should almost always be up, because at this point in the game, you get into a big fight, in 30 seconds, 50 units are going to die. And, oh wait, the Robotiquin? I thought that the Robotiquins counter melee units. Not Angry Vikings, apparently. That was just an immediate clear. And here we go. Look at this. Payday, baby. 30 gold for killing the traders. Of which sort of has rushed across into this. Up to 12 traders already. And not for long. This game is so messy. I just love the fact that it becomes a mirrored play on the opposite side of the map. So it's almost a race to see who can be better at killing economy. Who can be better at flank raiding. Who can be better at breaching walls. Varangian. They are going to keep holding firm in the center. Like, this is all just delay strategy, stopping Solo from getting in is the idea. We actually, that is a true rarity. We have hand cannoneer switch from Byzantines. It makes sense for all the gold, but guys, think about it. When was the last time you saw a Byzantine player build 20 hand cannoneers? We sometimes see them build 3 or 4 and then immediately lose the game. But this might be the rarest unit to witness a Byzantine player with in the late game. Because normally you have options through mercenaries instead. Right, like if you go Western, you just build the Streltsy if you really, really want to go for this. But usually Longbow feels better. Hand cannoneer? Oh, he doesn't get a fun hit. All that effort, Robotiquin staying alive. More hand cannoneers are coming though, so doubt he'll be able to hang around with it for long. Good micro. LUMT gets rid of the biggest threat. Raid trade. Done. 32 traders versus Sorof's 18. It's all locked in now, and the problem at this stage is like hand cannoneer Ashigaru would win the fight here. But Sorov doesn't have the gold for that yet. He doesn't have the tickets. He keeps focusing on siege instead. And the walls, man. I love that Louis he levels up his walls every time we see him. There's always something extra. He realized these fights have been happening right next to the wall time and time again, so he looks to leverage it to stand on it. And funnily enough, he's starting to break past it. I mean, with the hand cannoneers now in, you've kind of got to lean towards Louis a little here. Sorov's quality of units has been bad for some time. Spearman, Yumi, Bubonis, for some reason some Rams. I think he might just be dead. Like, this is ridiculous. Just look how quickly he went from mirrored count to nothing. Oh my god, he queues up 30 samurai as well into hand cannoneers. Hand cannoneers that also, by the way, do have the serpentine powder. They'll be looking to make those sweet serpentine moves work. Just have to remember that does by default end up giving you bonus against melee. So like this is just getting a bit grim. The only upside is you can at least deflect the first shot, but you know, you can be the best samurai in the world, you can be good at deflecting an arrow, but when I shoot 15 bullets into you, I'm pretty sure most of them are going to get through. Everyone wants to be Yukimura Sanada, but most of us are just a pitiful little Yumi. Speaking of those pitiful Yumis, a lot of them coming out. They can be a good counter to hand cannoneers. Problem is your wipe speed. Trade? Oh god. I mean, I guess it's stopping the samurai from getting killed. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily a good thing. Sorov's only got 10 traders. He can't really afford any losses at this stage. And he's going to lose a lot more of them. Look at this. They're gone. He's only got 5 traders now. Yeah, any dreams of going hand cannoneers himself feel like they're dying. And reminder, this isn't even the whole army. A lot of the army is reacting north side right now to this little flank raid coming through. Some of it is stripped off. We even have tower elephants coming out. Looks like a fight that maybe he'll finally win, but it's only because Louis hasn't been redirecting troops here. He's been addressing the flank attack again. Yeah, was there like 1 Rax? No, it's just the ram breakthrough. So he'll re-wall and then recommit all of his army to the front side. That's rare. Greek fire projectiles on the way. I remember that's the one that gives a little bit of Greek fire on the ground from trebuchet shots. I'm not sure why he's getting it. Like, is there really a necessity for trebuchets here? Because you have royal cannons, right? Like, it might be that he just wants to go tower elephants with all the oil, so he just doesn't want to go royal cannons anymore. Norseman did go fishing, not able to find anything. Trade count for sort of is back up to 12. Louis at 34. Seriously, guys, look at the olive oil. This is what I mean. Olive groves are overrated when you play Hippodrome. And, oh my god, he is going to use the Greek fire. It's Wee Wee Pows. That's sick. I totally forgot about that because we never see it used. But yes, the Wee Wee Pows get the Greek fire last time I checked. I mean, it's been a while. I assume it was never a bug. That's so freaking cool. Horseman. This is the other thing. The tower elephant's really smart because your opponent is stuck on mass Yumi. Yumi that do no damage against these. Like, look, it's 14 armor and you've got 12 damage. Even with the Yumi Bannerman, you maybe hit like 1.5 maximum per shot to a 900 HP target. What a disaster. I can't believe this, man. I feel like sort of the big thing that he might struggle to shake off from this one is like in the early game, I say early game, more like 22 minutes in, wasn't it? When he took that big win in mid and then dove the double mango tower, I think that's where this truly began to unravel and went back to 50-50. Before that, I probably would have favored Sorov's position like 75-25. Just crazy to think the difference it would have made if he steered to the left instead of down the center. When he finally thought about steering left and right, it came too late. Louis MT had what he needed. I think he's moments away from taking full control at this stage. The horsemen are breaking through onto the trader location again. Sort of 17 traders will start to evaporate quite quickly. Hand cannoneer count. Going to go up to 20 again soon for Louis. And Okay, he gave up on the Huipi power. We just have Kira Siphons coming through. What a game. Cool to see the way this played out, though. I think there was a big twist coming, man. We've been seeing a lot of Hippodrome recently, but what we haven't been seeing is the Hippodrome reach the late game. And you can see how different it feels compared to standard Byzantines. So this focus on gold instead of just the olive oil generation is a different direction. Hand cannoning and basically, what, Rangian? At the core of it all. Gulums as well. I mean, he's queued up 8 Gulam bolts. Why Gulam over Rangian? They're a lot more tanky, folks. Yeah, and on top of that, the double strike, more value when your opponent has no armor, which we can see is the case. Have we got one big Ura? We have not. It's unfortunate. Sort of. I was hoping we were going to click on that building and see him have some reserves, but 5 tickets is not going to be enough to punch your ticket to a win. Louis MT pulls it out in the late game. Let me know what you think of this, guys. Definitely feels like a new arc of Byzantines coming through. Have you been seeing a hand cannoneers a lot in the past? Because I feel like it has probably been the least built unit for the Byzantines in the history of their existence.